Hello.
Hello.
I've noticed that I have a bad habit when you turn up here of whatever the latest gripe is in my marriage, trying to get you on my side so that in an argument at a later point, I can say, well, Annabelle thinks the same thing as I do.
Is that what you say? It never occurred to me that, like, by me taking your side, it would get repeated back to her. I had to be more neutral.
Strength in numbers.
Oh, no.
She's terrifying in an argument. It's like being up against a top barrister or something.
Right.
So the best I can do is, well, it's not only just me that thinks so.
No. But do you make it out that I brought it up? Annabelle mentioned that she thinks you do this. Oh, hope not.
Today it was about leaving windows and doors open, which I think if you want to let a bit of air into the house, great, good for you. Fling those doors and windows open wide. Sing Who Will Buy This Beautiful Morning out of them for all I care.
Yeah.
Then when you go out, close them again.
It's your responsibility. I do agree. Yeah.
She also just rips chunks out of bread.
Really? Like an animal?
Yes.
Like a dog got on a loaf of bread?
Once my old dog got this enormous loaf of sourdough bread and had at it, and it was quite something to see. It was like a dog-shaped, not even dog-shaped, but the shape of a dog's head, indented. It was like Pompeii almost, you could, in the bread. And that's very much Sarah's approach to eating bread. She just rips chunks out of it.
She uses her hands, though.
Sometimes with the teeth. But so what she would say is she slices the loaf in half, and then it's up to her what she does with her half of the loaf.
Oh, so it's like half each. This is what I'm doing. Okay, well, that makes it slightly better.
But I don't want to be in a kind of marriage where we have bread apartheid like that.
It does seem that way. I've never heard of people separating their bread.
Well, it was because this issue has flared up so many times.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, it's my wedding anniversary today.
So you're getting all the gripes out on this special day.
So she's gone off to work.
Party. Oh, right.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We received some flowers from Dave and Beth, my best man and his wife.
Oh, that's nice.
Wishing us happy anniversary.
Very nice.
Now, I was Dave's best man. Last year, they celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary. We're celebrating our 8th. So it being a 10th, I thought I'd send them some flowers. I don't think they realised that I was just doing it because it was a significant number,
right?
A landmark anniversary.
Oh.
And now I think there's this expectation that we've got to send each other flowers.
Oh, you're both stuck now every year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which
so he hasn't sent flowers before?
Never.
Oh, no. You started something terrible there. It's going to be every year.
So what should I do then?
I personally would cut it out right now. Like nothing next year.
But it's their wedding anniversary next.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Don't send anything.
In about a month.
You're breaking the chain. You're breaking the chain.
Okay. Do I need to say anything?
Say, did you like those flowers I sent you for your 10th? No, you don't need to say anything.
I could say, I presume Sarah's sent a thank you. I could say a thank you saying, oh my goodness, these flowers are so spectacular. Thanks so much. And only for an 8th anniversary. Wow, what have we done to... No. Just I think How
no
can
words.
I be passive-aggressive?
Why do you want to be passive-aggressive?
No, not passive-grateful.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. So we went out last night, because Sarah's working today, and she was actually working a bit last night as well, so I went to meet her in central London in Soho. So I was waiting in this deserted street, and I'm aware of an erratic figure coming barreling down the street. You can just sense when somebody's a bit erratic.
Yeah.
Firstly, they're not using the pavement.
Right.
That's often a giveaway, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And then he appears to be having some kind of phlegm problem. So he's making a lot of noises. There's a lot of... almost like there's, I don't know, a poltergeist or something inside of him. He's trying to get it out at the first noises that I hear. And then he starts air blowing his nose.
Oh, no, that's disgusting.
And he's really going for it.
Is he putting one finger over one nostril to get enough power and the
exactly,
opposite?
Yeah. And then switching nostrils.
Oh, wow.
And this goes on as he's approaching me. as he gets quite close, within a couple of meters, he sees me and instantly apologises. He hadn't noticed that I was there. He thought he was on an empty street, which I think makes it a bit better.
Yeah, that's one thing.
I then feel like I need to say something, and I just blurt out, oh, it's all right. I would have done the same. I wouldn't have done the same. None of what he was doing would I even do in the privacy of my own home.
I would just air blow my nose into the air during a pandemic.
Oh, we all do it. Why did I say that? I was so concerned with just making him feel better.
Yeah, you were. It's nice.
Because of his gracious apology.
Yeah.
The other weird thing that I blurted out recently is there's a lad next door. He's so sweet. When we first moved here, he was probably only 10 or 11 years old. So now he's 17 or 18. And there's been that transformation. He's gone from this cute kid I used to say hello to. I think my job, when I had a job, seemed kind of a bit exciting to him. Mm-hmm. Then he would babysit on occasion for Jean when he was really small. And now, ultimately the same sweet lad, but taller than I am and very much a teenager, has that teenager energy. Mm-hmm. So I've just become uncomfortable around him in this way because I don't try and use any youth speak.
No.
Because I'm not up on the lingo.
Thank goodness.
I wish I was, though. I go on websites sometimes to see what the teenage slang is, and it just feels a bit dated even to me.
You are never going to find it out on the internet.
No.
Please don't try. It's too embarrassing.
Yeah, okay. So that's our dynamic these days. I'm kind of a bit uncomfortable because I want to seem like I know how to talk to a teenager, but I really don't. Mm. The other detail you need to know about him is he sometimes goes out helping his dad, who's a builder. So I'm going across the shop the other night and I pass his dad's van and he is there getting the stuff out the back of it. And he walks towards me with some kind of huge contraption. I don't even know what it's called. I say, oh, what you got there, Jay? He then tells me what it is. I haven't retained that information. I go, oh, off to chop down trees, are you? Going to be a lumberjack? Why did I say that?
What was the thing related to that?
No. I mean, it was something, I think it did some kind of soaring function on it.
Thank goodness. Okay.
But it wasn't something you would use. The thing it looked most like was the thing that a butcher would have to slice ham.
Okay, right. Yes, so not for trees. No. They're doing very thin slices of wafer tree. Yeah. I
just don't understand how other people have good banter. Where does it come from?
I don't know.
Just wish I had bants.
Yeah. Maybe you could find it on the internet.
But then I wouldn't be able to bring it to mind. I'd have to print it off and keep it in my pocket.
No, that's not going to work, no.
Maybe I should have an A4 sheet of banter ready to go.
Laminated.
For different occasions.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just getting my bants out. Excuse me. Oh.
Right, let's hear from our drifters.
Jane says, this story is about the time me and my sister went to see a band play about 15 years ago. I was 20 and she was in her mid-30s. My sister is the only person in the world I love wholeheartedly and unreservedly. Sorry, kids. But she and I are quite different. She has a deep passion for celebrity culture, which I very much do not share. She is the ultimate fangirl, whereas I find fawning over well-known people a bit embarrassing. Back in the mid-2000s, you may remember there was a rather popular band called Busted. It consisted of 3 lads singing songs about fancying their teacher and crushing on someone's as-yet unborn great-great-grandchild. Different times. They were very, very popular with pre-teens and my 35-year-old sister. I was not a fan and I'd never liked anything popular. Yes, I was that kind of teenager. Over the years, my sister had loyally followed the band around various venues and tours. She talked about the individual members as if they were close friends, and she had an encyclopedic knowledge about their lives. This was pretty impressive given it was pre-social media. The sad but inevitable time came for the band to split up, with the lead singer, Charlie, wanting to do something less teeny boppy and a bit more edgy rocky. My sister was distraught, but vowed to remain loyal to her Charlie. One of the first gigs his new band played was at the student union in the town I was living in. When the dates were released, my sister begged me to go. I really, really didn't want to, but I couldn't bear to crush her dreams of seeing Charlie again on stage. So I bought the tickets and made all the necessary arrangements for her to come and stay. The gig was in early March, and that night was exceptionally cold. The venue was experiencing technical issues, so they kept us all waiting outside for almost 2 hours. Once we were allowed in and warmed up, the gig started, and my sister was having the time of her life. I was having less of a good time, but smiling through the pain. At one point, my sister told a security guard that I was Charlie's biggest fan and asked if she could get a signed CD for me for my upcoming 18th birthday. This led to some serious questions from the venue staff about my age, and I had to persuade a very suspicious bouncer that I was actually nearly 21 and therefore legally able to be in the venue. I felt hugely relieved when the evening came to an end and we could go home. My sister had an amazing night and got her precious signed CD, and I'd remained sweet and pleasant throughout. Mission accomplished, or so I thought. I'd pre-ordered a taxi to take us home, but as we were leaving the student union, my sister spotted the band's tour bus parked in the university car park. She refused to get in the taxi and instead decided to camp outside the tour bus on the coldest night of the year. We hadn't brought coats. I was very tempted to jump in the taxi and leave her to it, but she didn't know the city at all. So I apologised profusely to the very unimpressed taxi driver and joined her by the tour bus. 3 hours went by. Slowly. During this time, lots of drunk university students wandered past on their way back from the city centre to their halls of residence. They thought having Charlie from Busted in their car park was hilarious. Most of them drunkenly shouted rude words at the tour bus. A few even threw stones at the bus windows. Each time another raucous gang of inebriated students came along causing trouble, my sister, who is 4'6", bristled with rage and confronted them. She ended up chasing one group down the street, much to their amusement. I've never been quite so mortified in my life. By about 2 a.m. in the morning, the very small group of fellow fans who were waiting with us had gradually peeled off into the night, having decided the band weren't going to come out. Finally, when it was just me and my sister left, we heard a noise, and the tour bus door slid open. A security guard stepped out, followed by Charlie from Busted. My sister, 35 years old, remember, shrieked with joy, ran to him and threw her arms around his waist, literally crying tears of joy. I'm not sure how long she squeezed him for, but it felt like an eternity. She eventually let go of him, but way after it got awkward. She then thanked him for the CD and said it was for my sister and she's your biggest fan, whilst gesturing at me. Charlie from Busted turned expectantly to me, smiled warmly and opened his arms wide, offering a hug. For some reason, I didn't accept the hug. Instead, I stepped forward, coolly offered him a handshake and said, "How do you do?" as if we were in some kind of period drama. I have no idea what I was doing. I'm not against hugging. I hug people all the time. But on this occasion, my brain and body colluded to do the most weird and awkward thing possible. Charlie and the rest of the band looked on totally bemused as we awkwardly shook hands. We all then had to make 10 minutes worth of awkward small talk whilst pretending the whole handshake thing had been perfectly normal. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who was relieved when they got back on the bus and it was all over. That was the last gig I ever took my sister to, and I'm still not over it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And this is from Sarah. This happened many years ago when I was a very awkward, shy teenager of about 16. I'd been experiencing a severely itchy ear for a few months and finally decided to make an appointment to see the doctor to see if I could get some cream to fix it. The doctor I saw was a male doctor, adding to my awkwardness. I sat down and he asked what he could help me with, and I quietly replied, "I've got a problem with my ear." He proceeded to ask me various questions, which started well, like, "How long have you had it?" "Oh, a few weeks," I replied. "Is it painful?" "It is when I scratch it and poke it a lot," I reply. "What about discharge?" he asks. "Maybe a bit of wax," I say. I'm beginning to wonder why he hasn't looked inside my ear when he suddenly says, to my horror, "If you'd like to go behind the curtain and remove your underwear, I'll examine you." Before I've had time to think what I do, I just shout in a very loud voice, "It's my ear!" I can only think he must have thought I've said, "I've got a problem down here." The appointment ended very quickly after that, keeping my underwear very much in place.
Oh, please send us yours. I feel that teenage, like when did it start for you? The social awkwardness could be a good area for us. You know, your earliest teenage memories of trying and failing to speak to another human being.
Yes, yeah.
So send us your stories, please. It's hello@adriftpodcast.com. Annabelle.
Yes.
I'm ready for another way in which you are not a fully functioning adult.
So, I had to go to the opticians again this week, which is bad because I hate going to the opticians. I've said before that if I had to go more than once every 2 years, I consider having my eyes taken out like you would a bad tooth. I hate the tests they do where they show you the two different groups of dots in quick succession and you have to say which is clearer. And I hate this because my memory is so poor. I can't remember if the first one is clearer by the time it's got to the second one. I have to keep asking them to go back and I can feel them getting annoyed with me. Like I'm that person in a restaurant who still can't decide what they want to eat, even though the waiter has been standing expectantly over them for about 10 minutes. There's much less reading letters out, which is what I used to be fine with. Like that bit is, I like reading letters out. That bit's good. But what was good about this opticians was it was the same chain that I always go to, but a different branch. And it was a really small one. And it was like quite retro because the optician had, remember that big suitcase of lenses and those big glasses they put on you? Yeah. And you keep changing the lenses. I feel that's quite retro now. And I got to do that.
Was it like some hipster East London optician?
No, it's just a chain, but it was a really small one. And it also had a low-tech version. Know that machine that puffs air into your eyes?
Oh yeah. God. I hate that thing.
So usually, like I do the thing where you put your chin on it and your forehead on it, but she had like some handheld thing. I have to say that I'm not 100% convinced that machine does anything. Like, I've never looked into it, but a bit of me suspects it's just a joke that opticians have all got together and conjured up because I think it's funny to puff air into her eyes and see how much we flinch.
They only use it on people who are flaky about which one's clearer, the red one or the green one. It's a punishment.
And I also feel like depending on how much they like you, they dial it up from light puff to moderate gale to hurricane.
Yes.
I always get hurricane. Anyway, so it's been when I've been before, it's always been that machine that does a puffing, but she had this handheld thing that she also had to look into. So she was right up in my face. And I do not cope well with this air at all. Like I don't so much flinch as violently shudder. And I was jolting about so much, kept having to redo it. And I kept saying to myself over and over, it's coming. You're a rock. You're a solid, unmoving rock. It's coming now. And yet I'd still vigorously convulse. And it was so bad that I sought some reassurance. And I said to her, am I flinching a normal amount? You know what? She said nothing. She just said, don't worry, nearly done. Obviously not. I'm obviously over flinching. As it turns out, I do need a new glasses prescription, which is bad because they've always just continued the frames that I wear now. So I need to choose new ones, which is just terrible because I'm desperate to avoid looking vain. I mean, I am vain, obviously, but like I know to keep it hidden. And it's really hard to hide it when trying on glasses with a Specsave assistant right next to you. Like what I really want to do is try every pair on twice and then get a shortlist for a third try and then get a few photos because photos look different to mirror reflections. And I want to ask their advice, the optician's advice. I want to ask every customer's advice. I want to have a colour consultant on hand on the best colour for my skin tone. But what actually happens is I try a few of the cheapest pairs on and then randomly pick one because I don't want to look vain. There was a middle-aged guy in the shop at the same time as me and he was doing everything I wanted to do apart from the colour consultant and I was in awe of him.
Wow.
Oh, why can't I be like you? Anyway, what I did this time was opt to have new lenses put in my old frames, even though it's more of a faff because I'd have to go back to another branch that it's harder to get to for some reason, then wait around until they're done. Unless I decide in the meantime that I do want my eyes out, which I think is becoming more and more likely.
Few little unconnected things. First one, you know, you've said you've got a little auto response in your head often if somebody asks you to do something.
Yeah, do it yourself. And I don't mean it. I honestly don't mean it. It's just a like, what do they call it? Like a tick or something. Yeah.
So if I said, "Oh, can you pass me that glass of water?"
Do it yourself.
Right, that's what happens.
I don't
in your
say
head.
it.
No. How often do you find yourself thinking, "You'll be sorry when I'm dead"?
Oh.
I have it all the time.
Do you? I
Like
don't have
anything,
that.
anything.
Really? No.
Yeah.
Give
For
me an
anything
example.
from if I go to the supermarket and I can't find something and I ask if they've got it and they say, I'm sorry, we're all out. I think, yeah, you'll be sorry when I'm dead. Or a table in a restaurant. Anything up until...
It doesn't even make sense. They won't know. Even.
No, I know. Or anything up until, if I say to a friend of mine, oh, should we go to the cinema on such and such a date? And they say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I think, yeah, you'll be sorry when I'm dead.
Oh, wow.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's angry.
What's at the root of that?
I mean, it's as bad as do it yourself, really. But
What is at the root of it, though?
what's wrong with us? I don't know.
I think I'm really overestimating the importance of my own death to most people.
Yeah, I think especially people who you're never going to see again. Yeah.
And even the people who are my friends, I don't think they're really going to get... They're not going to be wailing and gnashing their teeth and saying, if only I'd gone with him to the cinema.
They probably weren't even registering the fact that happened.
No.
They wanted to change the date.
Maybe I need to do something in my brain to switch it to, well, you won't be sorry when I'm dead.
Yeah.
None of this will matter.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good. Good little therapy session. Next thing is, I've told you, sort of broadly speaking, I will miss face masks. Because I don't have a great face, and I think the more of it that is covered up, the nicer people are to me generally. However, I have noticed that there are a couple of things that I'm not able to do when I'm wearing the mask, involving showing that I'm kind. So, for example, today, I was in a shop. There was a lady with a toddler who was screaming his head off. So I gave her a look, which I thought was saying, we've all been there, don't worry, I know what it's like.
I know that look.
But without my full face and just my eyes on display, I'm worried that it looked like a glare.
Oh, because how often do we practice just like seeing what our expression is just for the top half? We don't know, do we?
Smizing.
Oh, smizing.
What was that show you used to watch where they told you about smizing?
America's Next Top Model.
I don't think I've got smizey eyes, though. I've got quite wonky eyes at the best of time.
I think it's a TikTok craze, so I don't know how I know this. So what you've got to do now is smile. Do a proper big smile. A proper big smile. Right, now relax your mouth to normal, but leave your eyes where they were. No, do it again.
See, I can't do it. I don't have an expressive face.
No, I mean, apparently that's your model look as well. Smizing.
Okay. The other thing I was going to mention was how many people have you kind of ended up following on Instagram and their lives, even though they might not be giving you very much, have become not quite a soap opera, but they've become the people in your life.
People that I don't know. Yes. I've got a few of those, I would say, yes. And it's very weird. And I'm always thinking, I wonder what single mama triplets is up to today. Things like that. Yeah.
So I follow a surprising amount of like people who are really into menswear.
Okay.
Like nice jackets and
you've said
suits
this
and
before.
things. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And there's this fella that I follow, and I think sort of in real life he is a lawyer. He's in Stockholm and he's a lawyer. And I kind of a lot of the time these people who have these Instagram menswear accounts, they're not people I would ever want to be friends with in real life. Just from looking at them,
right?
They're too slick.
Okay.
Very alpha. Not maybe the type of guy who would suggest to another guy a game of squash on a Saturday morning.
Okay.
I'm not that person. And I wouldn't fit in that world. They'd go to a cigar bar, for example. I'm not this guy. I'm not this guy. But this is one guy I've started following, and I really, he looks like I could be in a band with him. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'll show him to you.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Oh wow, it looks really like you.
Well, he looks like. Do you know who I mean when I say the comedian John Kearns?
Oh yeah.
I think he looks like if John Kearns and I had a baby.
Yeah,
that's what he would look like. So I really enjoy following this guy. But what I was going to say is, do you ever have it when sometimes they'll post a picture of them with somebody else, and you feel it's not quite a pang of jealousy, but that's definitely like a component of it. But I also think, oh no, he's falling in with a bad crowd. He shouldn't be knocking about with that guy.
You're overprotective of him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That actually, I've just found a picture of him with a guy who I think is fine. But
You're just judging on the appearance whether he's fine or not. or a bad crowd.
Like, look at this guy here. Like, I don't want him knocking around with that guy there. Do you think I should tell him?
No, definitely not.
Isn't that what the comments are for underneath the Instagram post?
No, do it DM, obviously.
Okay. All right, Quandary Corner at the GLAP Clinic here in Problematic. Annabelle.
Helen says, as we all know, going to the hairdresser is a nightmare. As an aside, can we get a secret hairdresser episode?
Yes, I'd love a secret hairdresser.
We definitely need to do that soon, yeah. I foolishly joined a new one after lockdown. It was round the corner. First visit was fine, but then the rules changed mid-August. I stood at the door, went in, mask on. The receptionist ushered me into my chair, then the hairdresser arrived. We all hate this moment anyway, don't we, when they ask, what do you want? I was already braced for words about volume, movement, bounce, without knowing what that even looks like. Of course, as a drifter, I already have an answer ready. Oh, yes, please, that all sounds great. Yes, let's do that. And then if we hate the end result, still congratulating them on a wonderful cut. So I was feeling quite relaxed. That's when she said it. Do you want me to wear my mask? I panicked. I was wearing mine, but I didn't know it was now an option. But you can imagine the quandary. She's new to me. I want her to like me. Is the right answer yes, because she wants to wear hers, or no, because she really doesn't and is so happy she now has the choice? What do you do if someone says, do you want me to wear? What did she actually say? Do you want me to wear? I think if someone's saying, do you want me to wear my mask? Is it more slanting towards they don't want to wear it, but would you prefer it?
I think it is, yeah.
I think it is too.
Yeah. But it is perfectly legitimate of you, if you have concerns,
to say yes, please.
Say yes, I think.
But she wants to be liked by this person.
And you don't want the haircut sabotaged.
And what if you say, no, I don't, but they really did? I think we can take that off the table. Could you just say, oh, whatever you want?
Bat it straight back to them.
Whatever you'd prefer. I'm so easy, whatever you'd prefer.
I think if one person's wearing a mask and the other isn't, then the one who isn't should be taking their lead from the person who is. You should be thinking, okay, well, obviously that person doesn't feel comfortable without the mask, so I should be putting mine on.
Yeah, that's good advice.
But that would be advice to the hairdresser, not to the customer.
Yeah, so for Helen, I think bat it back, whatever you prefer, unless you do want her to and say, oh, I think it's okay to say, yeah, I'd prefer if you did. But
then she's going to give you a spite haircut.
Do you think she will?
Yes.
Well,
I would.
When we finally do our secret hairdresser, we'll find out if they ever do spite haircuts.
I've definitely had spite haircuts.
Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yes,
wow,
yeah.
Wow, okay. Right. I think that's awesome.
So just batting it back, yeah.
Okay. And this is from Lorna. So this was a question regarding theatre and arena etiquette. Me and my husband have just ventured out to see a show at an arena. Several times during the performance, a young man got up to leave, so we all had to stand for him to pass. Every time he returned with 2 pint glasses of beer. This happened about 6 times. So it's understandable that people need to leave due to maybe digestive issues or to use the loo, probably, or the beer, and we have no problem with that. But the lady sitting next to us got annoyed with him, and as he left for the last time, they shouted at him and asked him to wait. I didn't know where to look. So what would you do in this situation? Were the ladies right to get annoyed, or should they have kept quiet?
I think they should have. They're well within their rights to get annoyed, but the only way they should be allowed to express that annoyance is by catching, say, for example, your eye and rolling their eyes. You can't say something. You can't imprison somebody in their seat.
Maybe some kind of passive-aggressive mutter, sigh, a big sigh.
Make it difficult. I was once, and I consider myself a fairly fastidiously punctual person, and then on this one occasion, I was late for a theatre show and got there just as the overture was playing, and I had to budge past Jennifer Saunders to get to the seat. And let me tell you something, she was not gracious.
Oh, really?
She did not like a latecomer. She sort of harumphed and didn't quite stand up.
Oh, I'd done that before.
You know, that sort of half sit. Yeah. Which I have to say, it's not a comfortable position to contort your body into.
No, but it's really showing that I'm the reluctance, isn't it?
Yeah. So I suppose there's always that in your arsenal.
What if this was written from the perspective of the man getting up for beers and he was asking...
I think you've got a problem, mate.
How many...
I think you need to think about your relationship with alcohol.
Okay, putting that aside.
Yeah.
And he said to you, how many times is it okay to get up during a theatre performance, a music performance, to go and get just drinks, not toilet?
Well, they're very different things, aren't they?
Well, he's asking both. So music performance, I think it's okay. Theatre,
you have to wait for the interval.
You're not allowed to get up full stop.
No, it's about, you consider what provisions you need to get you through that part of the play.
Yeah. Music, how many times are you allowed?
I think you just, you are allowed. You're allowed to go as many as you want.
Okay.
But think about being part of you're part of an audience here, though, right? You think about other people and how you're inconveniencing them by making them stand up.
Yeah.
All the effort they're going to stand up.
So you can have
or not even
12
quite
pints
stand
of
up.
lager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's one of these where nobody is quite in the wrong or the right. So I think, the saying something is definitely in the wrong.
Yeah.
But I think even though it's really no effort at all to stand up, it's really annoying. It's disproportionately annoying, and we all feel that. And even though at a gig you can go to the bar as many times as you want, think about the people around you.
Yeah.
Is there an answer in there somewhere?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it.
I'm thinking that maybe he could, for some reason, I'm thinking of those caps with like 2 pints either side and a straw. He could get one of those. He can get one of those like rucksack drink things with a straw as well. I'm trying to think how he could like have 12 pints about his person so he could sit down and still drink what he wants and not be bothering everyone.
That's been another good sort of pandemic thing where you've got the QR codes and they just bring you the drinks.
Oh, right.
Because then there's no... I know we're on a separate issue here, but there's no jostling for a place at the bar. So I was thinking, I've got this energy, almost like some kind of black hole where I never get noticed. Or I think something about my face is annoying to the person behind the bar and they deliberately don't serve me first to spite me. Really?
I wonder if anyone says, I think I've got the kind of face where the barman comes straight to me, because I think the same as you. Like, I've got the kind of face where...
Those people don't know.
Yeah, right.
Like, those people live in a different world to the world we live in.
They're oblivious.
Yeah, like, they live in a real... they say about the Queen that she thinks everywhere smells of fresh paint. Those kind of commanding alpha... very good-looking people. You're a very good-looking woman, Annabelle, but you don't carry it well. Like you carry it with no... you don't like have any kind of air of confidence about you. So it doesn't give you that thing as you move through the world. But those people who do have that, they just live in a different world. They think... They just perceive... Have you seen the episode of 30 Rock where she's dating John Hamm?
No.
It's basically this.
Right.
And then he lives a charmed life. He's a doctor. But he's a terrible doctor, but because he's good looking, people just let him get away with it and charming. And I think that those people, how do we even get onto this? So people who get served at bars, they don't notice it. They just think that's what the world is like for everybody. So
it doesn't occur to them that there are people like us who are saying, I've got the kind of face that always gets ignored at a bar.
No.
Oh, okay.
But also they don't see people like us.
Oh, right.
We're invisible to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's all sorted out then.
They just see like these pixelated areas where we are.
Right, yeah.
Good. Send us your quandary, please. It's hello@adriftpodcast.com. And that was our podcast. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. If you have a story for us, or if you have a quandary for Quandary Corner, or if you have a podication, they're starting to trickle in now, but some more would be welcome. It's hello@adriftpodcast.com. Thanks to Man and the Echo for the backing music and to Emily Harrison for the incidental music. Thanks to Kim Rainey for our wonderful artwork and to Carla Gowlett for the photos. And I'll finish this week, of course, by saying, it's my ear! Podication time. The first one comes from Laurie Avardis. That's a name, isn't it?
It's lovely.
Laurie says, hi, Jeff and Annabelle.
Hi.
On the 22nd September, 2 years ago, I met Joe, who has really changed my life and made me truly happy. I love her very much indeed, and I thought that a podication from my two favourite podcasters would be a great way to mark that second anniversary. Of course, if your new backlog has suddenly led to this podication being read out in December 2024, then it may have lost something of its poignancy, so here's hoping. What's interesting here is that word my favourite two podcasts. If it was...
our.
Yeah, our or even Joe's.
I think it's not going to go down very well. Better than nothing.
Is it better than nothing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, unless I hated us, and then it would be better then it wouldn't be better than nothing.
Okay, well, Joe, I hope this is acceptable to you. It comes from a good place with Laurie.
Yeah, kind heart, nice thoughts.
Yeah. And then there's this one from Matt Owen, who says, hi, Jeff and Annabelle.
Hi.
Your recent pronouncements regarding the dearth of podications has prompted me to finally write in to ask for one for my wife, Sharon, of Go Back to Where You Came From infamy. It would be great if this could be read out as close to the 20th of September as possible, as this is our wedding anniversary, and it would repay the lovely podication Sharon sent in for me a few years ago, which was read out on the actual day and as we were driving through the beautiful Irish countryside. This really helped make what was already a lovely day that little bit more special. The upside of having delayed this long is that it's enabled me to celebrate a life change that has had a profound effect on Sharon. After 27 years working in the same food factory, undertaking the vital task of ensuring that the shelves of Tesco and Sainsbury's didn't go short of coleslaw, Sharon took redundancy. This has enabled her not only to reduce her working hours, but also take a change of career. She now works in a care home for people with dementia, and I have never known her to be so fulfilled at work. Instead of waking up and being physically ill at the idea of going to work in a place which so undervalued her that it drove her to the brink of physical and emotional collapse, she gets up early enough to arrive at work with a... the problem here is the screen is slightly too far away from me, and... it's falling between the two stools of my varifocals. I don't quite know whether to look through the top bit or the bottom bit. A good while earlier than necessary for her 12-hour shift. She comes home full of stories, not of how awful the day has been, as it invariably used to be, but rather of the residents and their previous lives which dementia does its best to strip away from them root and branch. To take this work on is a measure of Sharon, as her own mother suffered with various types of dementia before her much lamented death 4 years ago, and as an only child, Sharon was left with the bulk of her mother's care and admin, looking after our house, supporting me through undertaking a degree around a demanding job, as well as working full-time herself. To deliberately place herself in a position surrounded by people suffering from the same condition, and with such intimate knowledge of its pernicious effects, speaks volumes about who she is, though she herself would deny that this is anything special. Well, before I move on, I mean, that's just incredibly impressive. Well, firstly, sorry to hear about your mum. I'm just really sorry. And yeah, I mean, just to make a change like that, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
And I know what it's, I know what it's like to feel like you were feeling, Sharon, but then to go and do something different, I'm so pleased that it is rewarding in the way that it is. But I wonder if Sharon is even the sort of person who'd want a big fuss made about that.
Sounds like she wouldn't really, yeah.
But it's incredibly impressive. Oh, here we go. Sharon would downplay this too, but she is also a wonderful mother to Joe and bonus mum to our two girls, Alex and Olivia. Alex comes to tea every week and the two of them gang up on me something rotten. To see them together is truly something beautiful to behold and is hopefully some comfort for Sharon as Joe has emigrated to the States to be with his lovely wife, Michelle. We haven't been able to go to visit them in Buffalo for obvious reasons, so I haven't seen them since he left over 2 years ago, which has been particularly hard on Sharon. Joe would be the first to admit that he is firmly on the drifter spectrum and has married an American woman who is much less so. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. What could you be getting at there, Matt? Joe also listens to the podcast every week, so will be sure to let me know if he disagrees with any part of this. Around 20 years ago, we met when we were nearly young and agree that this is probably for the best, as when we were in our first marriages, we were hardly the best versions of ourselves. I'm getting choked up about this whole thing. It's really beautiful. Although this meant that we never got to have children together, the relationships built between Sharon and the girls and Joe and myself are always going to be special to us both and demonstrate how modern families should work. She is a wonderful person who often puts others ahead of her own needs and has a long history of mentoring younger women in the workplace. Sorry, I'm getting really choked up now. She proclaims herself to be a total misanthrope, but is, in reality, the most empathetic person I know. She has an absolute love for animals and will often stop to move earthworms off the pavement and into the bushes so they don't get stomped. To watch her walk through the garden with the chickens trailing after her is a sight to behold, a true mother hen. Over the years, I've grown quite fond of Sharon, but I won't pretend that being married to isn't without its challenges. I'm sure living with me is no picnic either, but I do know without her, I would be truly adrift. Long may she continue to dance me through the curtains that our kisses have outworn. How funny, I wrote that in I wrote that bit of that verse of that song in my anniversary card to my wife.
Oh, wow.
So we had that song at our wedding.
Yeah.
Driftily regards, Matt Owen. P.S. Some of you may have noticed a couple of liberal borrowings from the master wordsmith, Mr. Leonard Cohen. If you're going to steal from the best. God, he really was. I think I've said before, there's so many, I listen to, I know people who don't really hear the lyrics, but I'm really kind of obsessive about lyrics. And there are so many great lyricists in rock and pop, but I think very few of them, strip away the music, very few of those lyrics stand up on the page. But Leonard Cohen, I mean, he's the one, isn't he? Because he was a poet. He was a published poet, I think, before he was a singer. Well, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed hearing that and the Leonard Cohen references. So there we go, Sharon. Congratulations, and also Laurie. Thanks for writing into us, and I just hope that Joe enjoyed her podcast too.
Yep.
And there we go. That's the latest edition of the podcast. If you would like one podcating to yourself or someone else, then email us. It's hello@adriftpodcast.com.